Hello, everyone, and welcome to City of Oshawa's Budget Consultation Telephone Town Hall meeting. We are live tonight with the city's manager, Jag Sharma, and Stephanie Sinnott, the city's Commissioner of Finance. In addition, we are joined by thousands of community members from throughout the city listening in. To ask a question live tonight, simply press 3 on your phone's keypad. Once again, press 3 to ask a question at any time. My name is Eric, and I'll be the moderator of the Town Hall this evening. During this live virtual Town Hall, we encourage you to get involved and to ask some questions and give your opinion by voting on a few of our questions. The City of Oshawa chose this format as it is an interactive Town Hall with you, which means we want to hear from you. The city has made it a priority to engage and connect with you and fellow community members to get your input on the upcoming 2019 city budget. This town hall is a way for the city to directly hear your feedback and opinions. It's also an opportunity to share some information about the budget process and have an open dialogue with you on what the priorities should be for the 2019 budget. For this evening's town hall, we are taking questions that are related to the City of Oshawa's areas of responsibility. This includes the city budget, comprised of both operating and capital budgets, the municipal budget process, and city services and programs. It is our intention to get as many questions on these topics as possible this evening. You can ask a question at any time by pressing 3 on your phone's keypad. Someone will take your name and place you in the question queue. Now again, for everyone just joining us, hello and welcome to the City of Oshawa's Budget Consultation Telephone Town Hall meeting. We are live tonight with the City Manager, Jag Sharma, and Stephanie Sinnott, the City's Commissioner of Finance. In addition, we are joined by thousands of residents from throughout the city listening in. We want to remind everyone tonight that you can ask a question at any time by pressing 3 on your phone's keypad. We'll also be doing a series of survey questions this evening. You'll have a chance to vote live using your phone's keypad on those questions as well. Now at this time I'm going to introduce Jag Sharma so he can open up the town hall. Jag, welcome for joining us live. Please go ahead with your comments.
Thanks, Eric. Good evening, Oshawa. This is the City Manager, Jag Sharma. On behalf of Council and City staff, thank you for taking part in our telephone town hall. Joining me this evening is Stephanie Sinnott, our Commissioner of Finance Services. We are looking forward to answering your questions on the city budget and municipal budget process. Before we get started, let's walk through the city budget process. Each fall, staff begin the process of preparing annual municipal budgets for the upcoming year. The city budget consists of capital and operating budgets. The city's 2018 operating budget was $137 million and is used to deliver services to you in the community. This includes snow removal, waste collection, fire services, recreation programs, and much more. It also includes funding for agencies such as libraries and the senior centers. The 2018 capital budget is $22 million and is used to fund construction and renewal projects for the city's core infrastructure such as buildings, roads, parks, and trails. If you haven't already done so, visit oshawa.ca to complete our budget survey for your chance to win an iPad. Again, you can do that on oshawa.ca or on paper at Service Oshawa. I will now turn the conversation over to Stephanie, who will be answering your questions this evening.
Thank you, Jag, and hello, Oshawa. I am pleased to be here this evening to answer your questions on the city budget. The feedback from this evening will be summarized and shared with Council and City staff as part of the 2019 city budget process. In January, the proposed city budget, along with a summary of the community feedback, will be presented to Council. We encourage you to attend the meetings in person or watch online over web stream. You will then have the opportunity to participate once again by sharing your feedback on the proposed 2019 budget. Eric, let's take the first question.
Thank you, Jag, and thank you, Stephanie, for opening up the town hall. We have our first live question ready to go. Quickly, I do want to remind everyone that if you have a live question you would like to ask on this evening's topics, which are the city budget, comprised of both operating and capital budgets, the municipal budget process, or city services and programs, we want to hear from you this evening. Press 3 on your phone's keypad at any time over the course of the town hall, and you'll have a chance to ask your live question directly on the event. We're going to go to our first live question. It's coming up from Alex. Alex has he has a question about reducing the city's debt. Alex, welcome. You're joining us live.
Yeah, hi. I read or got given a copy of, I think it was, it might have been Oshawa this week, or it might have been the Express, but I've got it in front of me, and it's a region needs to provide like a letter to the editor, and it indicates that there is $2.3 billion in the Durham region capital. I don't know, what do you call it, a slush fund or a savings account that is earmarked for eventual use in capital projects or infrastructure projects. So what I'm wondering is why does the city have access to this money, and could it not use some of it to like $2.3 billion is a lot of money, and it's like the size of the budget is in the Oshawa budget is $130 million. So why could this money not be used to offset some of the spending and also be used to pay down some of the debt? I'm not saying use all of it, but I don't know whether we need $2.3 billion. We don't need that money put into another waste recycling smokestack disaster on the waterfront. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Alex. Unfortunately, the City of Oshawa does not have access to the reserve funds of the region, which you quoted to be $2.8 billion. We do have our own debt management strategy, and we would love to be able to access those funds from the region, but unfortunately, they are not under the city's jurisdiction.
Thank you very much for that comment, Alex. Now we are going to go to another question, but first, before we do, I want to go to a polling question. So using your touchtone phone, you can indicate your response on this question, and we want to hear from you. Rate your overall level of satisfaction with the quality of services provided by the city. If your answer is excellent, please press 1. If your answer is good, press 2. If your answer is fair, press 3. If your answer is poor, press 4, and if you don't know or are undecided, press 5. So again, rate your overall level of satisfaction with the quality of services provided by the city. If your answer is excellent, press 1. If your answer is good, press 2. If your answer is fair, press 3. If your answer is poor, press 4, and if you don't know, press 5. Now, Stephanie, before we go to our next live question, can you tell listeners what is the most important thing that the public should understand about the 2019 budget?
Well, Eric, as a family or household, we've all seen prices increase for our necessities. The cost of food, gas, and utilities are all considerably higher. It means less money remains in the household budget for once the necessities are paid for. The City of Oshawa, like other municipalities, also faces pressures that impact our budget, such as inflationary increases, which affect a number of commodities and range in percentage of increases. Most notable of those increases are utilities and fuel costs. We are also pressured by unforeseen costs. An example would be repairs that are needed due to a severe weather event, such as significant flooding or an ice storm. Like other municipalities, we have aging infrastructure in need of repair, renewal, or replacement. As the city's asset management plan matures, it will provide strategic, long-term guidance and help us determine appropriate levels of capital investment for future capital budgets. The cost to build new projects, such as new buildings and recreation centers, are paid over time by today's users and future users as well. At the same time, we continue to pay down the city's debt, increase our reserves for the financial health of the city, and support libraries, senior centers, and not-for-profit community groups. The important thing to keep in mind is that the city budget looks to balance all of these competing priorities and challenges while at the same time providing the day-to-day services that our community needs.
We're going to go to another live question. Before we do, we still have some new people joining the line, and I want to let them know how they can ask a question on tonight's town hall. This town hall is an opportunity to share some information about the budget process and to have an open dialogue with you on what the city's priorities should be for the 2019 budget. For this evening's town hall, we're taking questions that are related to the City of Oshawa's areas of responsibility, including the city budget, comprised of both operating and capital budgets, the municipal budget process, and city services and programs. We want to hear from you. At any time, press 3 on your phone's keypad. Someone will take your name and place you in the question queue. Again, that's press 3 if you have a live question you would like to ask on the town hall this evening. Our next live question is going to be from Stephen. Stephen has a question about infrastructure. Stephen, welcome. You're joining us live.
Hi there. Yes, I have a question. Last year, the city decided not to repave a number of roads that were in severe need of it. I'm just curious how you guys are balancing your infrastructure funding to make sure that these things get done, because not only are we behind by 1 year now, we could potentially be behind more than one if something doesn't get done in infrastructure again this year. I'm just curious where your guys' priorities lie.
Thank you for your question. All of the city's capital projects, including road work, are prioritized using a capital prioritization matrix, which takes into account a number of factors, including risk, including the age of the infrastructure, including financial restrictions, and so on and so forth. We also have regional road projects that impact the city's road work plan, so that we can align our projects with the region, and if the region adjusts their priorities, that in turn would adjust the city's priorities.
Stephen, thank you very much for your question. To ask a question like Stephen, press 3 on your phone's keypad at any time. We're going to go to another live question. It will be from David. David has a question about taxes. David, welcome. You're joining us live on the line. Please go ahead with your question.
Yes, my question is in regards to the high rate of tax we have enjoyed in the city of Oshawa. When are they going to come back in line with the rest of the communities in the GTA? Right now, we are the second highest. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Currently, the city is examining every budget process. We look at keeping the tax rate affordable, and over the last 3 years, our tax rate has been less than 2%, our increase. We're also trying to pay down debt and put away money in reserves for the future health of the city. Unfortunately, as indicated earlier on the call, we are impacted by inflationary costs on an annual basis, but we are managing to keep our tax rates less than the rate of inflation as it currently stands. Over time, if we continue down the path, we will enjoy a healthy, financial, sustainable future, and that will help to keep tax increases mitigated.
David, thank you very much for that question. We're going to go directly to another live question. This one is going to be coming up from George. George has a question. George, welcome. You're joining us live. Please go ahead.
Thanks very much. My question is what is the increase in the 2019 budget compared to 2018? And if it's significant, how do you intend to mitigate the differences so it doesn't impact the increase in taxes?
Thank you for your question, George. Currently, we are in the final stages of compiling the city's budget, so I'm unable to provide you with the difference or the incremental increase in the 2019 budget over the 2018 budget. We do examine all budget lines through a comprehensive review. All staff are held accountable to looking at their budget lines and keeping any increases in check. We do start with the prior year's budget when we are embarking on the process. We remove things that were anomalies from the prior year. We add inflation. We add council-approved activities, and then we start looking for areas that we might be able to cut to keep the tax increases at bay while maintaining our financial plan to get us to a future healthy financial state.
George, thank you very much for that question. We're going to go to another survey question. So using your touchtone phone, you can indicate your response on this question, and we want to hear from you. Do you feel that you understand how your tax dollars are used within the city budget? If your answer is yes, press 1, and if your answer is no, press 2. So again, do you feel that you understand how your tax dollars are used within the city budget? Press 1 for yes, and press 2 for no. We're going to go to another live question. This one is coming up from Mark. Mark, the question, please go ahead, Mark. You're joining us live.
Hi there. I live on Goodman Creek, and we had been receiving a lot of communication about the city was going to clean up the creek, and there was going to be retaining walls, and that they wanted us to share costs with the city. And those letters were...
Mark, are you still there? All right, we'll try and get Mark back. In the meanwhile, I know that we have another question coming up, and this one is going to be from Mary. Mary has a question about waterfront development. Mary, welcome. You're joining us live. Please go ahead with your comment.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the forum. In response to some of the previous questions, I wonder why people are so afraid of having their taxes increased when they are beneficial to us. I would welcome my taxes to be increased incrementally if it benefits our environment. I am backing to the waterfront. I would like to see a plan to give us the type of waterfront like Coburg. We need to have a plan for our waterfront. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Mary. Yes, we are incrementally increasing the budget year over year. We are trying to keep the tax rate affordable and competitive. We are looking at a variety of different capital projects, which include looking at things at the waterfront. We are looking for opportunities for capital investment at the waterfront and for a number of other city initiatives.
Mary, thank you very much for that question. Now, we still are having some new people join us. I want to let them know how they can ask a live question about the 2019 budget for the City of Oshawa. At any time, press 3 on your phone's keypad, and you'll have a chance to ask a live question on the Town Hall this evening. We're going to go to our next live question coming up from Dawn, who has a question about snow removal. Dawn, welcome. You're joining us live.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I wondered if... you're a senior. Is there a program in place that shovels the snow from the sidewalk in front of your residence? Is there any that the budget covers? I really don't know.
Thank you for your question, Dawn. Yes, the city does have a senior snow removal program in which we will come and clear the sidewalk from in front of your house. You will need to contact Service Oshawa to get all of the information on how to sign up for that program. The city's phone number for Service Oshawa is 905-436-3311.
Dawn, thank you very much for that question. We're going to go to another live question. This one is going to be from Chris on the debt. Chris has a question on the debt. Chris, welcome. You're joining us live.
Hello. I was just wondering what our current debt is for Oshawa over and above the operating budget, please.
Thank you for your question, Chris. The city's current debt load is projected to be approximately $73 million at the end of 2018. Just as additional information, the city implemented a new debt management strategy in June, which will help to structure and pay down future debt and restrict debt issuances going forward.
Chris, thank you very much for that question. We have another live question coming up, but quickly press 3 on your phone's keypad if you have a live question that you would like to ask regarding the 2019 budget for the City of Oshawa. We're going to go now to Leslie with a question about garbage pickup. Leslie, welcome. You're joining us live.
Thank you very much. My question is this, and it is also a comment. Recently, we in Oshawa have had an issue with an increase in rats, and I had an idea months ago. I thought, well, you know what? Right now, the City of Oshawa for years has implemented an every other week garbage pickup. Would it be possible to work into the budget a weekly pickup of garbage to perhaps reduce the incidence of rats? Because to me, the two just go together. And that's my question and comment.
Thank you for your comments, Leslie. Certainly that could be something that could be taken into consideration. Unfortunately, we don't have our Commissioner of Community Services on the line, who's under his purview would be waste collection and removal. But we can certainly pass along these comments and have a fulsome discussion while we're considering that impact to the 2019 operating budget.
Thank you, Leslie, for that question. We're going to go to another live question. This one is going to be coming up from David. David has a question about new business in the city. David, welcome. You're joining us live.
Hi. My question is, what exactly is the city doing to attract new businesses to the city of Oshawa, mainly for the purpose of employment? I know the GM plant is the sole main employer in Oshawa. How much funds do we have earmarked for attracting new businesses and basically any resources that's available for new entrepreneurs? Is there anything at all in the budget for that?
Thank you for your question. The city does have an economic development department who does a lot of robust work in the community. We have a cluster strategy, we have a broadband strategy, we have studies initiated with smart cities, all of things which could bring investment and employment opportunities to the city of Oshawa. We've also invested some money in Spark Center, which is going to help our innovation hub, and all of those opportunities are designed to bring new business to Oshawa.
David, thank you for that question. We're going to go to another live question. Again, quickly press 3 on your phone's keypad if you have a question you would like to ask on the town hall this evening. We're going to go now to Rob, who has a question about departments coming in under budget. Rob, welcome. You're joining us live.
Yes, hi, thank you. My question was in regards to different departments that might come in on budget at the end of the year, but tend to not do that because of fear of their budget for the following year being cut. For example, seeing tree planting happening at the beginning of December. I don't know if there would be a program that would work for those departments to keep that surplus they might have from one year to the next without having their budget cut for the following year. And that way it could be set aside for those anomalies that happen for those departments. It might act as an incentive for other departments to find ways to cut their own budgets and be more conservative in their spending. Rather than lose that budget for the following year, they keep it as a surplus.
Thank you for your comment, David. I can assure you that at this time, departments do not spend their budget for fear of having future budgets cut. The city's programs and branches are monitored from a financial basis every month. All of the variances are discussed, they're categorized, and they are determined where we might position ourselves for the end of the year. They are reviewed with city management, senior management as well. They are reported back to council. So there's a high degree of visibility on the city's budget, the city's spending. when we actually present the budget document, we go through a comprehensive exercise of comparing the 2019 submission to where we forecast our 2018 actuals to end up, to make sure that the increases in the 2019 budget are aligned with the department's initiatives as well as their previous operating results.
Rob, thank you very much for that question. We're going to go directly to another live question. This one is coming from Arliss, who has a question about bicycle routes. Arliss, welcome. You're joining us live.
Thank you very much for taking my call. I've noticed that quite a few places in Oshawa now have bicycle lanes. My problem with the bicycle lanes is, in most cases, they paint a strip down the side of a road that's already there. They haven't increased the size of the road at all. Where I live on Nonquan and then down on Mary, the bicycle lanes, the bicycles plus the parked cars plus the cars all are in the same spot basically now. And quite often you're veering in and out of bicycles, particularly at night. Bicycles aren't paying attention to not wearing black, and it's getting very dangerous. Is there any possibility, and I realize this is going to cost more than less on the budget, of putting the bicycle lanes between the sidewalks and the road in some cases rather than on the road? It's just a matter of safety more than anything else.
Thank you for your comment, Mary. The city does have an active transportation master plan in which we are trying to accommodate other forms of transportation within the city. We are trying to make sure that we have adequate bicycle lanes as well as the appropriate size car lanes. In terms of visibility of cyclists, we can issue public service announcements warning cyclists to be careful, to be wearing light-colored clothing, and all of the necessary safety precautions that they should take, which will hopefully help prevent them from injury, as well as help the cars to navigate around everyone safely.
Arliss, thank you very much for that question. We're going to go to another live question, but again, I want to remind everyone that we want to hear from you this evening at any time. If you have a comment or a question on the 2019 budget for the City of Oshawa, we want to hear from you. Press 3 on your phone's keypad if you have a question or comment related to the of Oshawa's areas of responsibilities, which include the city budget, operating and capital budgets, the municipal budget process, or city services and programs. We're going to go to our next live question. It's going to be coming up from Joe. Joe, welcome. You're joining us live. Please go ahead with your question.
Thank you for taking my question. I work in Toronto. I work with a lot of people from different parts of the GTA. We all seem to have similar level of municipal services, even though we live in different regions, and yet we pay a very, very different tax rate. And it seems to me the reason that they pay a lot less taxes is that their municipality, specifically Toronto, seems to be very good at mooching money off the province than we are. We always hear about the province is going to help out Toronto with this transit project, Mississauga with that transit project. But I never hear what we are doing to get our fair share from the province to help with our woes, and instead we seem to be the ones that are number 2 in the GTA in terms of paying taxes. What are they doing right that we're not?
Thank you for your question, Joe. I can tell you that the City of Oshawa is continuously working to build our relationships with provincial ministers, making contacts and exploring any funding opportunities that might be available to us. As infrastructure and other types of grants become available, we examine our priorities, especially from a capital infrastructure perspective, and we make sure that we are on top of every grant opportunity that could come the city's way. You mentioned specifically transit. With respect to transit grants, they certainly are the focus of the provincial government. Unfortunately, transit is not a city service. Those services are under the region of Durham.
Joe, thank you very much for that question. We're going to go to another question in a second. Quickly, we're going to do another survey question. So for everyone joining us, we want you to indicate your response using your touch-tone phone, and we would like to hear from you. What option would you prefer the most to balance the budget? If your answer is to increase property taxes to maintain services, press 1. If it is to increase user fees to maintain services, press 2. If it's a combination of an increase in property taxes and user fees to maintain services, press 3. If you prefer a combination of a small increase in taxes and user fees and a decrease of services, press 4. And to maintain current taxes and decrease services, press 5. So again, what option would you prefer the most to balance the budget? If your answer is to increase property taxes to maintain services, press 1. If it's to increase user fees to maintain services, press 2. If it's a combination of an increase in property taxes and user fees to maintain services, press 3. If you prefer a combination of a small increase in taxes and user fees and a decrease services, press 4. And to maintain current taxes and decrease services, press 5. Now, Steph, there was a question that we had that was submitted prior to the event, and it is, why is my property tax bill so high, and what services do I receive in return?
Thank you, Eric. Residential property taxes collected by the city are distributed to 3 areas. In fact, the city only keeps about 44% of the total tax bill that you pay as a homeowner. Let me provide an example, and please keep in mind that these figures are approximate. If your home in Oshawa is assessed at $356,000, your tax bill would be approximately $5,008. The city collects $5,008 in taxes from you, but we only keep approximately $2,191. The breakdown is as follows. 44% of your tax bill stays with the city to pay for local municipal services, such as garbage and green bin collection, maintenance and snow clearing on city roads, parking and bylaw enforcement, fire protection, animal services, recreation programs, and more. Another 44% goes to the region of Durham to pay for regional services such as police, ambulance, transit, social services, and more. 12% goes to the province for education, specifically for local school boards. The city portion of your tax dollars is managed within the annual city budget. The city portion of your taxes supports municipal services, funding to agency and local groups that offer recreation and cultural services, including the libraries and senior centers, new capital projects such as bridges and buildings, and the cost of repairing and renewing our existing infrastructure such as roads, sidewalks, and playground equipment.
We have another live question ready to go. This one will be from Leslie. Leslie has a question about police, fire, and other services like that. Leslie, welcome. You're joining us live. Please go ahead.
Hello. Thank you for taking my call again. I formerly asked a question and had a comment about garbage pickup. My next question has to do with, firstly, does the City of Oshawa directly decide how much funding goes towards the Durham Regional Police Force?
Thank you for your question, Leslie. The Durham Regional Police Force is under the jurisdiction of the Region of Durham, and they would be responsible for setting the budget for the police. That is not a city service that we have any ability to affect.
Leslie, thank you very much for that question. Again, everyone who would like to ask a live question about the City of Oshawa's 2019 budget, we want to hear from you. Press 3 on your phone's keypad at any time. We're going to go to a live question from Merle. Merle has a question. Please go ahead, Merle. You're joining us live.
Thank you. I'd first like to say that I think that the City of Oshawa does a very good job of managing our tax dollars coming from our property taxes. And I think also of being very transparent as to where the money goes, how it's spent, how it's controlled. But as was mentioned earlier by Leslie, that a very big part of our tax dollars, an equal amount, goes to the region of Durham, actually a little bit more. And I'm not so sure that they do such a good job as the City of Oshawa. And I don't feel that they're as transparent in terms of how those monies are spent and administered. The fact that they have surpluses, which we've heard already are fairly large, and the city of Oshawa operates with a deficit, I feel that maybe there should be more consideration given to a redistribution of tax dollars. I'd like to hear your comments.
Thank you very much for your comments and compliments to the city staff for how we are managing the tax dollars and how we are trying to engage the public on an active basis. We don't have any jurisdiction over the regional budget or how it's managed or how it's communicated back to the public. We do have a number of our city councillors, so 5 in particular, as well as our new Mayor-elect Carter, who are also representatives on the regional council. We can certainly pass along your concerns and comments to those individuals so that they may be able to raise it at regional council and maybe affect a change in their transparency and accountability.
Merle, thank you very much for that question. We're going to go directly to another live question. This one is coming up from Karen. Karen has a question about street parking. Karen, welcome. You're joining us live.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. My call is with regards to parking on the streets. I live on Durham Court. It is crowded. I've got neighbors across the street which have like 6 cars to their house. They are parked all over the street. The other neighbors do the same thing. Everyone's parked on the street. It's become dangerous to actually get out of my driveway because there's cars left, right, and center. We call the bylaw officers. They do come by, but 2 days later we have the same problem. Is there anything that y'all can do to further expedite these issues?
Sorry to hear about your parking troubles. As you indicated, you've contacted our bylaw officer, which would be our normal response to parking issues. We do have bylaws in place to help enforce safety and to make things appropriate on roads. If you continue to contact the bylaw officers and they continue to come out and continue to lay charges, they can be escalating in nature, and then hopefully that will solve the problem.
Thank you very much for that question. We're going to go to another live question. This one is going to be coming up from Tom. Tom has a question about snow removal. Tom, welcome. You're joining us live.
Thank you very much. Live on Park Road South here in Oshawa, and the sidewalks are within about 24 inches of the roadside. The problem being the snowplow comes by, fills the sidewalk in, you go out, you shovel it off. Half an hour later, the snowplow comes by again, fills it in. It's a constant effort during the winter to keep the sidewalks clear and safe all the way up and down Park Road South, both sides. I have people that live in this building. I'm in an apartment building on Park Road, and they're in wheelchairs. They cannot make it from the building up to do any kind of shopping because they cannot go up the sidewalk. Now, I understand that the city services do provide one of those small plows that do the sidewalk in certain areas for the city. Why is it not possible to have that machine do these sidewalks after a snowfall? That would at least take some of the effort and danger out of the sidewalks for people that are senior citizens, etc., living on Park Road South and other streets in the city that are in the same situation with very narrow boulevards. End of question.
Thank you very much for your question. Unfortunately, with the way weather patterns are changing and things of that nature, unfortunately, sometimes the plow needs to go by more than one time, and I can appreciate the efforts of people having to continually plow the windrow left behind by the snow plow. There is a sidewalk snow clearing program available to seniors. If by calling into Service Oshawa, you can find out the details of how you might be able to apply to be part of that program. In addition, we can certainly pass along your comments this evening to our roads department, who are overseeing the winter maintenance, and they can certainly have a look at some of their sidewalk routing to see if there's anything that could be done differently to assist the seniors in Oshawa.
Tom, thank you very much for that question. We're going to go to another question quickly. If you have a question about the city budget for the budget 2019 budget for the city of Oshawa, please press 3 on your phone's keypad. We're going to go to Phil, who has a question about the general budget. Phil, welcome. You're joining us live.
Hi, good evening. My question is sort of broad compared to some of the ones that have been asked, but and I want to clarify one thing just to make sure I'm right on this as to how Oshawa deals with things. So I work with municipal governments North America-wide, and one of them is Ottawa. So one time, someone in the finance department at Ottawa told me that how Ottawa structures their budget is they first decide what a reasonable tax rate will be for the following year, and then they determine what they're going to do with the amount of money that results in. My understanding, and this you could correct me on, from reading executive summary of the Oshawa budget one time, was that it's the other way around, that first they decide how much they want to spend, and then what does that relate to as a percentage in tax increase, or it would always be increased, I guess. Am I correct in that assumption that the determination is first what needs to be spent and therefore what tax rate would that be? And if so, I mean, in my mind, it seems that that's not the correct way of looking at things. It should be the other way around. I like Ottawa's concept, and I don't like the opposite, if I'm right, about the way Oshawa budget and the percentage of tax increase is determined.
Thank you for your question. I can tell you that the City of Oshawa does have a financial strategy in which we look at multi-year budget projections, which would indicate year-over-year changes in the city's budget and start to help predict what the tax levy increase might look like in future years. That information is shared with our council, and then our council has endorsed the financial strategy, which will be undergoing an update with the new council, and it's there under their purview to provide any direction on tax increases, anything that might deviate from the financial strategy based on new priorities, and we'll certainly pass along your comments to the new council as we move forward through our financial planning process.
We're going to go to another live question. This one will be from Linda. Linda has a question about the operating budget. Linda, welcome. You're joining us live.
Yes, good evening. Thank you for taking my call. I'm wondering about the operating budget and the various departments within the city, and wondering, could the budgets internally be trimmed by a small percent? And I'm wondering, what is the budget? How do you know how much to give each department, I guess is what I'm asking. So a department gets a certain operating budget. How is that figured out?
Thank you for your question, Linda. The 2018 operating budget was $137 million. That was comprised of 4 major city departments. That would be the Office of the City Manager, our Corporate Services Department, Community Services Department, Development Services Department. And as well, in addition to those major departments, we also have municipal parking. We have external agencies that we help to support, such as the libraries, art galleries, senior citizens, etc. All of those priorities are balanced within the operating budget. We look at every budget, every operating budget line within every department, every program, and every branch, and we scrutinize it to make sure that it effectively covers the city operations. I can assure you that our budgets are very lean. We review all of our personnel costs, all of our material costs, and all of our services to ensure that we can provide a competitive tax rate while providing the services that the city requires.
Linda, thank you for that question. We're going to go to another live question. This one's going to be coming up from Doug. Doug has a question about the budget process. Doug, welcome. You're joining us live.
Good evening. My question has to do with the process overall and whether or not the city or its staff look at other cities in Ontario for ideas of doing things differently regarding either expenditures or taxation, revenue, services provided. Cities like, Kingston, St. Catharines, London, other places like that. Any ideas there?
Thank you for your question, Doug. I can tell you that the City of Oshawa is continually comparing ourselves to a number of comparators to ensure that we are providing the best level of service and that we are providing affordable services. We are always looking to do things better. We are looking at innovative practices. We certainly look at best practices implemented by other municipalities. In addition to that, the city has a continuous improvement framework by which we do Lean Six Sigma exercises on various operations of the city to see if we can create savings, whether that be dollar savings, capacity, other types of efficiencies that will benefit our operations as the city continues to grow. We also have internal audits. Our internal auditors are KPMG. They continue to provide value-added audits on a year-over-year basis that help us to continually improve to keep the cost of the city operations low.
Thank you very much for that question. We're going to go to another question, but quickly before we do, we want to do a survey question of everyone joining us, and you can use your touch-tone phone to indicate your response. We want to know what portion of your total property tax bill does the city have direct control over. If your answer is 100%, press 1. If your answer is 61%, press 2. And if your answer is 44%, press 3. So again, what portion of your total property tax bill does the city have direct control over? If your answer is 100%, press 1. If your answer is 61%, press 2. And if your answer is 44%, press 3. Now we have another live question coming up from Alan. Alan, you're joining us live. Please go ahead with your question or comment.
Thank you for the opportunity. This is a follow-up on the question of grants, provincial grants. You mentioned that, yes, there are grants and you monitor and look for them. Have you got any specific examples of grants that Oshawa has received this year, either operating or capital grants? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. The city typically does not receive funding in the form of operating grants. Usually it's capital grants. So the most significant grants that we've received in the recent past were through the Canada 150 and Ontario 150 initiatives. We built the pedestrian bridge down at the Oshawa Harbour on the Larry Ladd Harbourfront Trail, which cost approximately $600,000. Of that $600,000, the city only had to pay approximately $150,000, with the remaining funding coming from a combination of grants received through the federal government and the provincial government.
Thank you very much for that question. We're going to go directly to another question. This is going to be coming up from Kevin. Kevin has a question about some of the activities that the city has. Kevin, welcome. You're joining us. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity here to ask my question. I just wanted to know what are the various recreational activities that the taxes expense towards, and are these recreational activities predetermined by the city, or are they open to outside groups, nonprofit organizations, and what the like?
Thank you for your question, Kevin. The city offers a variety of recreation programs. These programs are outlined and communicated to the community through Leisure Online, as well as the Leisure Guide. These programs are vary in nature. They could be arts, they could be camps for kids, they could be sporting, they could be swimming. There's a whole variety of programs that we offer to the community, and we offer them through a variety of age groups as well, from young tots all the way up through to seniors. We look at data analytics around all of these programs on an annual basis to determine which programs we want to continue to offer to the public, which programs are getting enough take-up and are being treated as cost-effective to the city.
Thank you very much for that question. We're going to go directly to another question. This one's coming up from Dale. Dale, welcome to the Town Hall. You're joining us live on the line. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm wondering another thing here. What are we going to do about the homeless when we have all these empty schools, empty houses, that are just sitting idle?
Thank you for your question. The City of Oshawa is actively working with the Region of Durham, who oversees social services in the community. We're working on a strategy to assist homeless residents in the community.
Dale, thank you very much for that question and that comment. We're going to go to another live question quickly for everyone joining us. We want to hear from you. Press 3 on your phone's keypad if you have a question or comment about the 2019 City of Oshawa budget. So again, press 3 on your phone's keypad if you have a question for the Town Hall this evening. You'll have a chance to ask it live. We're going to go to Ramsey, who has a question about street repairs. Ramsey, welcome. You're joining us live.
Yeah, I am here. Thank you. Hello?
Hello, Ramsey. Please go ahead with your question.
Yeah, I did ask what's going to be about Gibb Street extension, which is, I did, but I never had any answer. Is they going to put bicycle lane? Is they going to put trees in the middle?
Thank you. Thank you for your question, Ramsey. The Gibb Street extension and the amenities that would be on an extended roadway would be under the Region of Durham's jurisdiction, but we can certainly pass along your comments and concerns to them as they can work out their capital plan for that piece of road.
Thank you very much, Ramsey. We're going to go to another live question coming up from June. June has a question also about street repair. June, welcome. You're joining us live.
Thank you for having me to speak on your program. My question is between Highway 2 and Town Line in Oshawa, northwest corner, there's a plaza in there, and there's sidewalks in there that are bumpity. Anyone could have a fall. There's a seniors building right this side of it, and I feel that it's detrimental to those of us that have got to use walkers with wheels on. Anyone that's using a scooter, they could tip on it, and anyone that's using shopping carts or any other wheeled things to get to and from the stores. And I inquired quite a while back about that. They said there's nothing wrong with sidewalks. I think either the man was blind, who was supposed to have checked it, or he didn't bother looking at all. And so I've heard others say that they could trip on that. And what's going to happen there? Like, are they going to fix those sidewalks, or what's going to happen? They're right in front of all the stores and that, and the restaurant and whatever, all through the plaza there.
Thank you for your comment, June. I can assure you that the City of Oshawa is concerned first and foremost with the safety of all residents. The city sidewalks that are along the roadway, we will certainly pass that information along and have the city's inspectors out to look at them right away. We certainly wouldn't want to have anyone injured on our sidewalks. If I heard you correctly, referring to the sidewalks and pathways that are actually in front of the stores and the plazas, you might want to consider contacting the property manager for that development, and that would be their responsibility to fix those pathways.
June, thank you very much for that comment and that question. We're going to go directly to another one. It's going to be coming up from John, who has a question about garbage pickup. John, welcome.
Hello?
Hello, John. Please go ahead with your question.
Yes, please. Just like to make a general comment relative to Leslie calling in about the garbage pickup. I agree fully with her. I know that other municipalities do the opposite of Oshawa. They go to weekly pickup of the black plastic bag, and their blue box is every 2 weeks. So it's the exact reverse of what Oshawa does. We are being forced to store garbage in our homes when we go to a bi-weekly pickup of the black plastic bag. So I fully agree with Leslie. My main point for phoning in is, as a taxpayer for 40 years in Oshawa, I'm continually upset with increased taxes. I propose to the city and the region that they set up a department dedicated to property tax reduction, in which there would be a coordinator and several employees with a hotline for property tax input from the public on ideas on how to reduce our taxes. The way society is going, we're going to need double income families to support a house and pay the taxes. This is just a very bad situation, and I offer one solution: set up that department dedicated to reducing our taxes. And secondly, I offer an idea: maybe the city could consider picking up leaves and charging homeowners if they want that service. We need a hotline for property tax reduction. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your comments. Firstly, with respect to the comment regarding waste, the city is trying to encourage and develop our recycling programs as well as our green bin pickup. We can certainly appreciate the sensitivity around the picking up of the black plastic bags, and we, as we indicated to Leslie, we will pass that information along to our waste collection individuals for them to have a look at how they might be able to change their program if that's feasible to mitigate any potential problems with rats. With respect to the second part of your question, in terms of setting up a department to look at property tax reduction, the city has adopted a continuous improvement framework in which we apply different principles. We look at risk management. We do regular reviews of our service delivery models. We have internal audits that look for value for money, whether that be real dollars or capacity to assist us in dealing with growth. And most importantly, directed at your comment, are our Lean Six Sigma exercises, in which we are undertaking an initiative to educate all city employees on how they can identify waste, on how they can identify manual processes, and other areas in which we can either cut, correct, or streamline processes to ensure that we are delivering a competitive tax rate.
Thank you very much for that comment and that question. We're going to go to another one. It's going to be coming up from Stephen, who has a question about budget allocation. Stephen, welcome. You're joining us live. Hello, Stephen. You're joining us live on the line. Please go ahead with your comment.
Well, hi, my name's Stephen. I just had we're talking mostly about budget. I had a question about allocation between the wards. Is it based on the population of the density of the actual ward or the size of the ward? Because some of the wards are bigger but with less population, and some of the wards are smaller with higher density. So I don't know exactly how that's all allocated. So if you help me out with that question, appreciate it.
Thank you for your question, Stephen. The city budget is determined and allocated on a city-wide basis. It's not on a ward-by-ward basis. It's not based on population. It's based on the services that we need to deliver to the city as a whole.
Thank you very much for that comment. We are going to go to another question. It's coming up from Eugene. Eugene, welcome. You're joining us live.
Oh, hi. My question is a two-pronged question, and has to do with the city of Oshawa cooperating with the region in terms of either in terms of public announcements or also in terms of developing a strategy to filter or screen out things in the street like cigarette butts that are very toxic and they end up going ultimately into the lake. They might go through a holding pond, but eventually end up in the lake. And that's a source of our drinking water. And some people don't realize that that's what happens when they throw a cigarette butt out or other garbage on the street. What steps can be done to cooperate with the region to alert people that that's dangerous and perhaps work out a strategy to screen out that garbage and not let it go into our drinking water, source of our drinking water? That's my question.
Environmental.
Thank you for your question. We do cooperate on a number of communication initiatives with the region. In particular, you mentioned street sweepings. The city does sweep the streets, and then those street sweepings are treated and environmentally disposed of in an environmentally friendly way.
Thank you very much for that question. Now, Jag and Stephanie, we're just about reaching the end of the town hall. We had a lot of good questions this evening. With a few minutes remaining, are there a few final thoughts and closing remarks you would like to share with our listeners?
Thank you, Oshawa, for participating. Tonight has been an excellent opportunity to talk with you. Before we end this evening, I encourage you to continue to participate in the 2019 city budget process. There are still many opportunities to provide your feedback. Visit connectoshawa.ca to learn more about January's live Q&A process and complete a budget survey on oshawa.ca to look for your opportunity to win an iPad. Your questions this evening and other feedback received will be summarized and shared with Council and City staff as we prepare the 2019 budget. The proposed 2019 city budget will be presented to Council for consideration in January. You are invited to attend meetings in person or to watch online over web stream. Once the proposed budget is presented, there will be opportunities to share your feedback online and in person. To learn more, visit connectoshawa.ca. Again, thank you for joining us. A recording of tonight's town hall will be available online by November 30th.
Thank you again to everyone for joining us. If you still have any questions or feedback on the 2019 city budget that you would like to share, I want to remind you you can do so by going to www.connectoshawa.ca or by calling us at 905-436-5686. Again, please provide your questions and feedback at www.connectoshawa.ca or call us at 905-436-5686. Also, the questions and answers from this evening's town hall will be posted online at connectoshawa.ca in the coming business days. Thank you again to everyone for joining us, and have a great night.